that one of the problems was in our jail. And actually, you may remember it, but there was a whole bunch about it in the newspaper. But
Yeah.
people were going to our jail, and they were taken off their meds for 30 days. It was called like a washout program or something like that. And so from our understanding, there were people who were on medication for bipolar disorder or schizophrenia. They've been diagnosed, they're on their medications, and they would be arrested for something or other, which is very likely for someone who perhaps wasn't taking their medication properly to be arrested for something, and they'd be going to jail, and they would be going through these horrible experiences for 30 days. And so this was an issue that surfaced that I wouldn't have known about, but came out. And basically when we did our research, we found out that our jail was hiring outside organization, I forget the name of it, to come and do mental health in our jail. The doctor was there like one day a week, or very limited amount. I don't want to give wrong information, but a very limited amount. And basically we brought this to the attention of the county. Again, we called them in front of our action assembly and said, do you think it's a problem that people who are diagnosed with diseases are not getting their medication that they need? And obviously they said yes, and obviously they saw the same problem as we saw, and obviously they let go of that company, and now they hire a local...
yeah, I think it's active.
Yeah, I think it's through F.A.I.T.H, Stuart Marchman. And so basically we don't really come up with the solutions. Sometimes we say, well, this is what we found out, we want... You know, we're not going to do anybody's job, but we're saying, hey, this is a situation at hand. So, for example, years ago we found out that there was no drug treatment in the jail, which at the time I wouldn't have known that, to be honest with you, because it wasn't my experience. But through our house meetings, it came out that people's sons and daughters and brothers and sisters were in the jail for using drugs and being on drugs. They would be in the jail and they received no treatment while they were in jail, and when they got out of jail, they went right back to using drugs, in which case they returned to jail once again. And so when we found that out, we actually met with the warden, and we met with all our county council people, men and women, and we talked to them about that, and basically we were able to help with some research and show that where they could find some funding for that, and show that how in the long run it saves the county a tremendous amount of money if people, when they're in jail, get treatment while they're there, because you have a captive audience, so to speak. You know, and while they're there, the time is not wasted being there. Their time is really used well. And so basically, we got the county to agree to that. And again, I think it's Stuart Marchman and F.A.I.T.H who provide for treatment while people are in jail. Unfortunately, I'll share with you that it's not being done for the women in jail. We got it done for the men. But it's my understanding women still are not receiving drug treatment.
Why is there a difference in inequality in terms of services?
I don't know. We need to look into that. That might be another issue at some day we look at. But as far as I understand, that is an issue that I am still hearing from people that, gee, my daughter's in jail and she didn't get any treatment. And I'm like, gee, I didn't understand that, because in my mind, drug treatment, alcohol treatment was treatment. But from what I understand, I don't want to be quoted on that, but from what I understand, the women in jail are not receiving treatment. We then also found out that by connecting people when they finish their jail sentence to a drug treatment program would tremendously reduce the recidivism rates. And so we went again, saw that as an issue another year, and we went before the county, and the county said yes, this would be good, and they all mostly said yes, they voted it in. And so now when people who are addicted to drugs or alcohol, when they finish their jail through their treatment program, they now have a place to go and they connect. And this is tremendously, I think it's changed from like a 75% would return to jail to now only 25% return to jail. So talk about saving money in the long run and having a vision and changing again the structures that keep people addicted and powerless over drugs and alcohol. So that was another issue that we tackled and did something about. It's an organization that obviously does something. It's not an organization that just, oh my, everything is terrible, our community is terrible.
A lot of planning, studying, this, that, and the other. You get your data together.
We get our data together.
One way or the other.
Exactly. And we do research that is, well, we don't recommend what they can do. We just say to them, this is what our research has shown.
You just want them to do something.
We want them to do something.
That's going to result in positive
And to be honest with you, the county truly has been wonderful. In everything pretty much that we've ever asked, it may take a little time. Sometimes listening doesn't happen. I think sometimes our organization has a reputation of not listening, but we do listen. And actually people don't realize is that we do meet with county council members if they're willing to meet with us one-on-one. And we're able to say to them, you know, what do you see as a solution? Because, you know, with the Sunshine Law, they really can't talk to each other. But they can talk to us, and we can say, well, what do you see as a solution to this problem? So, for example, this past year, we've been talking about the situation of local hiring. And through our conversations with county council members and through our conversations and research and doing things, we found out that if we would have a local hiring preference, would benefit our county. And actually, each of them, when we spoke to them separately, in one way or another, were very supportive of that. However, some way or another, sometimes they didn't hear that. And they thought we were asking for something that they really weren't in support of, but they really were. There were some things that needed to be ironed out, and so there were some concerns about, well, what about our relationship with Seminole County? In other words, I think Pat Northey, because she's in DeLand, Deltona area, was concerned about, and we weren't really, that we would work that through. We could talk that out. We just needed something, and so the county did have a meeting, I guess it was this past summer, and it was, they basically, on October 26th, they had a workshop this past summer, and on October 26th, they will be voting on a ordinance that will give a local hiring preference. Now, at the workshop that they held, I wasn't at it, so from what I gather, you can't talk at a workshop, they just talk amongst, I don't know how that all works, but anyway.
Unless they invite you to speak.
Okay, yeah, so we weren't invited to speak, but everything they said, in fact, they did everything we asked and then some. Because they've also increased this preference for, I believe, minorities, and also to have the career Center for Business Excellence in the parts of our community that have a very, very, very high unemployment rate. In other words, the average unemployment rate for the county is one number, but there are segments of our county, I believe, pockets, 2 in Daytona, 1 in Ormond, whatever.
3 to 114, definitely in Daytona Beach. There may be
yes. And so the Center for Business Excellence will be active in those pockets to try to get people there to be able to work and have a preference for companies that hire people in those areas. And so obviously, you know, being from Daytona for over 16 years now, the sad part is that oftentimes people grow up here, and as soon as they turn 18, they leave. And that's very sad for me as a faith community to see our young people always leave town. And so hopefully we can change some of the environment here where people will be able to stay in town and find jobs in town, which will certainly enrich our community and have some young people here to give us life and energy and vision.
Absolutely. Part of my goal anyway.
Certainly. Sure.
But you know, I know that Brad Giles, yes, was very instrumental in bringing, there was an instrument that he was aware of that actually, a formula that could be used and changed somewhat to actually be able to reach that ultimate goal that you guys were looking at. I serve on the Center for Business Excellence Board, and I was there when they asked that they get more involved. And so, from what I'm hearing you say, I mean, you guys have just done a phenomenal job. You don't have that great a reputation in terms of the government community because of that. Like you were saying, they say you don't listen, but you're saying you do. And they don't know about the private one-on-one meetings that you hold. All that we've seen or heard a lot about is when you have them in front of you and all you want are yes or no answers, and that's it.
Right. That's
but
not
you
reality.
said you really even changed from that and you let them expand upon it.
We always actually
that's
try
why this
to.
is good. That's why it's good to really
we always
educate
want
people.
We really want to talk to them. We want their ideas, and actually we're there to help them get their ideas through. And so it's really a very positive organization. But I guess the reason why I am part of it is because we're talking about faith in God. The scriptures call us to do justice work. And the thing with doing justice work, you can't do it by yourself.